welcome to the Hudson Valley Knits Podcast. I'm Amy. I am Memers on Ravelry, and this is episode 73, and I am at George's Island Park in Montrose, New York, down by the river. It's October 10th, Sunday, October 10th. It's a little windy. If we get any strong gusts, I'll just be silent for a while, and I'll try and edit it out for you, because I know wind doesn't sound good when it's picked up by a microphone. I'm really surprised that I'm the only one down at the park today. There's like no one here. My car is the only one in this whole huge parking lot. It's a cool, crisp day, but it's not freezing. Anyway, usually there's somebody down here walking the dog or something. I just wanted to start this podcast out. I usually don't say these things, and I take for granted that you know, but I want to tell you how much I appreciate that you watch the podcast. I do it because I love it. It's fun. I really kind of started recording videos because I don't find myself eloquent with words when it comes to writing. I like to talk better. So I always used to say, I think I started blogging in 2008. Knitting blog, anyway. Here comes a gust. But I always said that I wish I could just talk to the people instead of having to type everything out and post pictures and all that. And then in 2013 I started recording it and just putting it on YouTube. And I'm Amy Lamash on YouTube, by the way. Wait. All right, the wind's dying down now. And I love this time of year, especially in the Hudson Valley. I'm walking by the river, and that's why I designed this sweater. But here comes another gust. Hold on. So anyway, like I was saying, I really appreciate that all the viewers I have. I know there are so many podcasts out there, and some of my favorites have come and gone, and some are brand new and really fun to watch, and everyone has different tastes. And I sometimes like shocked when I hear about podcasts for the first time, and I can't believe I've never heard of them before. So the fact that you're watching mine makes me very happy, and I love to do it. I don't think I could ever say it's stressful. I look forward to it. So anyway, let's get to it. It is the week before Rhinebeck, and I am wearing my Rhinebeck sweater. And I'm going to talk, usually I save all the chit-chat for the end. But I'm going to chit-chat now, because I can tell you, ladies, that are coming to Rhinebeck, if the weather is like it is today, it's perfect for your heavy sweaters. Dress warm, dress in layers, because it's going to be freezing cold in the morning when you're waiting to get your ticket and get in. And by afternoon, if the sun comes out, you might be a little warm. Or if you're spending a lot of time in the indoor barns, it gets really hot in there because there are so many people cramped up. But if you're walking around the fairgrounds, I am a little chilly even with the sweater on. I only have a t-shirt underneath though. It's 50, I think it was 58 degrees when I checked on my car thermometer. It's breezy. It's partly cloudy, so the sun is obscured. It was actually raining this morning. But this is perfect Rhinebeck weather. I'm an hour south of Rhinebeck, but the leaves are turning here, so they're probably a little more advanced up there. But we should have some beautiful colors. And like I said, if the temperature is below 60, I should be fine with this heavy sweater on. Just to give you an idea of, what to wear. But definitely do the layers, and I am actually gonna wear this, but I'm gonna bring a lighter sweater, my Alice Starmore sweater, and I'll leave it in the car. And if it gets warm, after the podcast meetup, I'll go to my car and I'll switch sweaters. So that's just my advice if you're watching this and you're going to Rhinebeck and you're not familiar with the weather in the area. I would say if it's anywhere above 60s, and especially if it's over 65 to 70 degrees and sunny, you're going to be hot, especially because you're going to be outside, but you're going to spend a lot of time indoors in these barns shopping, and there's going to be packed with people, especially on Saturday. So you don't want to be wearing something too heavy, because you'll have to take it off and then you'll be carrying it around all day. Unless you want to check it in, which I think costs a few dollars, which might be worth it if you don't want to run to your car. Yeah, so I just wanted to get that out there because I was thinking that when I pulled in that it's just a perfect Rhinebeck day. I hope it's like this next weekend. So this is going to be a quick pre-Rhinebeck episode. I'll show you a little bit of what I'm working on, and I'll talk to you about what I've been thinking about. So anyway, whips. I haven't worked much on this week, but I did do a little work, I did some tinking and reworking. So I think last episode on Marc's Rhinebeck socks, and I call them Rhinebeck socks because we bought this yarn last year at Rhinebeck and he picked it out for himself to have a pair of socks with. It's called Cornucopia. It's medium weight socks that rock, in the Smithy pattern, and I really love it. The pattern, that is, and the yarn. But I'm knitting it toe up, and I haven't knit a lot of toe up socks, so I had to keep redoing it because of measurements. And I didn't knit on it much because I got involved in some knit-alongs that started at the beginning of October. But I did get a little done, and I think when I showed it to you last time, I had actually done the gusset and the heel turn and the heel flap, but it was like this, and I think, yeah, I remember telling you it was this much too long for his foot. So I ripped back to almost halfway down the foot, and now I'm re-knitting it. And I don't mind. It's a great pattern that's easy to memorize, and it's a good learning experience for me. So I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, so what? Anyway, I'm gonna put this down because something's messed up. That's one thing on the needles. I have another pair of socks on the needles, and I think I showed you this last week as a stash enhancement. I'm pretty sure I had gotten it in the mail. Hold on, I'm trying to get this back in the bag. This is in the Socks That Rocks Rock and Sock Club bag for the 10-year anniversary that I don't like. After I knit this pair of socks, I'm going to give this to Sandy because she loved the colors. I'm just not crazy about this bag, and I have so many bags. It's actually very well made. The zipper's a little wonky. It doesn't open and close nicely. But really, it's extraordinarily sturdy and well made, so I can't complain. Just not for me. The other pair of socks in the one of the knit-alongs I'm doing in October is the stepping into fall socks using the Autumn Afterglow self-striping yarn by Mustash yarn. It's the School of Socks Fall 2016 knit-along. I bought the Fat Squirrel bag. Love it. Love the colors. I painted my nails brown to match it. It's a little off, but and in here we have another toe-up sock. These are toe-up socks. It's kind of the reason why I decided to do Marc socks toe-up, was that one, the pattern was written for toe-up socks, and two, I knew I was going to do this knit-along, which was for toe-up socks. Oh, hold on, my notebook flew away. Got it, I saved it. Yeah, so here's the deal. I like to knit my socks on a size 1 needle because I like the small, well-defined stitches and sturdiness that I get at that gauge. And I know with these needles and and 68 stitches on the needle, I get a well-fitting pair of socks. So her pattern, and her, I mean, I shouldn't say her, it is, hold on, I have it in paper. She sent me a printed pattern too, which I thought was very kind and thoughtful, to print up the pattern for everybody that bought the sock kit. It's, oh my gosh, come on. I'm afraid it's gonna blow away if I take it out. Hold on, but I got it. Sivia Harding. I always wanted to call her Sylvia, but it's Sivia, S-I-V-I-A Harding. She designed the Stepping into Fall socks. And you can use this pattern with any one of Stacy's self-striping yarns. But I ordered the Autumn Afterglow because I love the colors, even though I have 2 skeins of her self-striping yarn in Woodstock, and one with, I think it's Chocolate Bunny, that came with a little skein in the big wool, big skein in the little wool. I always get it confused. It came with one of her kits a long time ago. Alright, so I just did the pattern for that, and she uses just different stitch patterns as you go up, and then when you have these little bands of color, she does a knit 1 row, purl 1 row, knit 1 row. What happened is I got a little kind of off with the color sequence because my toe took up 2 bands of color, and then I started all the patterns, and it worked fine until I got to this part, and the green should have been in a pattern, and this band of kind of like a bluish green, or I would call it like a sea glass green, blue green, should be stockinette stitch. Not should be. I followed her patterns, but it was meant, when I got to this point, it was meant that this would be in the pattern and this would be in the stockinette. But because I kind of used this color for the toe, I was off. And I'm debating, because it is on the foot, and I always say, who cares if it's on the foot? And sometimes I'm half tempted just to knit my foot in stockinette stitch. I'm tempted to rip it out to here and just do the pattern here and this in stockinette and this in pattern, just because I want to. But then the part of me says, why bother? No one's going to see it. And I'm like, yeah, well, everyone will see it on my pattern page, and if I want to show it off, I just think it will look nicer. I don't think it looks bad like this. I think it will look nicer. I just don't feel like ripping out all these stitches. Usually I don't mind, but it's an October knit along, and I want to finish at least 1 sock before the knit along's over. So what should I do? Should I rip it out and do it? I should rip it out and just do it the way I like it, shouldn't I? And I'll just keep track of the order I'm doing it so the other sock matches. I was thinking about doing 2 at a time too, but I've done that once before and I didn't like it. So I think I'm going to rip it out, because whenever I get stuck on what to do like this, I'm like, just do it, just rip it. I think I will. But anyway, and you know what else I did? Maybe I should rip it even more, because the back of the sock is supposed to be all stockinette, you know, the bottom of the foot, and one I forgot and I did the pattern all the way around. But again, I'm like, who cares? I won't feel it, nobody will see it. I think I'll leave that. But I think I will rip back to the first green stripe and do that in this pattern, do this in stockinette and do this in the pattern, and then switch back, and then I'll be on track. I actually just started the increase for the gussets. Another problem I had because of this change to the smaller needles, which made a unique gauge, was my row count was different from hers. So I did put that in the thread, and she actually reached out to me and told me to knit an extra ½ inch of the foot before starting the heel gusset, because my row count is 14 per inch and her pattern is 11 per inch. So that was very helpful and very kind of her to figure that out for me. I'll probably bring this to Rhinebeck to work on while I'm there. It's, or actually probably Marc socks would be better because I don't have to look at a pattern for that. Yeah, I'll bring Marc socks. And so that's one knit along I'm working on, and I actually waited till October 1st and did everything right. But I also am kind of illegally or unofficially, if you will, in the Big Bad Berg along. So if you watched my podcast back in August when I was, whoa, I'm sorry. The most beautiful herring just flew over me, and it's big and was beautiful. I'm sorry. I don't see that often, not that low, not that close. I mean, like, it was right there, like maybe 10 feet away from me. It was pretty cool. There's also a lot of eagles in this cove here. They come here during the winter, and maybe you get tons of photographers camp out, and they're and with these fancy cameras and lenses to get pictures of the eagles, because this is a big place for them in the winter to get food, and they actually live here. Anyway, where was this? Okay, Big Bad Berg along. Sorry about that little tangent. I was knitting it in my Jan Smiley bag, which had like flip-flops and beach sandals on it, but I figured it's time to switch it out of that bag until next year. So I put it in the Firefly bag because I finished, you know, the sweaters for my little nieces, and so now it's residing in here. But I had done a bit of this in August. I did not realize there was going to be a knit along, and I had knit up to here. Sorry about the wind. Right up to there. So 1, 2 stripe repeats and 2 lace repeats. It's kind of better color, but because the light's behind me, it's making it darker. And I know Downseller Studios podcast, I think, is not allowing whips. In a snit, she said I could use a whip if it's less than 50%. I haven't heard back from Emily of Butterfly Knits if I could use a whip, but I'm assuming it's okay as long as they're not giving out prizes. I think Downseller Studio is using it, she's using it for prizes or points for her, what is it she does? She has a year-long, a long contest she does where you get points for different things with football season, and so she was like, no whips, so, and that's fine. And then I forget, and the, I'm drawing a blank, and I don't listen to audio podcasts much, so it's not, Prairie Girls Knit and Spin, Prairie Girl Susan and Prairie Girl Danny, I think, they were like, totally like, do whatever you want, of course, you can use a whip. So, anyway, I have been like knitting on this very adamantly. I really am enjoying it. It's an easy to remember pattern once you get going. I love the colors. I love this yarn. Sunna is one of my favorite fingering weight yarns. And I started here. It gets bigger and bigger. This is Tamdou, and this is where I am. I just started another lace repeat. Gorgeous, isn't it? Let's see if I can get it with... the colors are a little washed out because of the sun. I love this shawl. I can't stop knitting this shawl. One night I was up till like midnight knitting the shawl, and my husband's like, don't you have to go to work tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah, because I was just loving it. I really love it. And this is my first Melanie Berg pattern. I'm pretty sure. It smells beautiful too because I got lavender sachets in here. I think it's my first Melanie Berg pattern. I own a lot of her patterns and I love her patterns. This is the first one I'm knitting. And that is all I have for whips. I worked on the Love is Love pie shawl, but like I said, it's taken me a long time to do one round, and I think I only did like 6 or 7 rounds since I last podcast, so I decided not to bring it. When I finish this section, I'll bring it and you can take a look. But I know from when I knit my last pie shawl, it's hard to really show it in a way that you can appreciate the work because of it being so scrunched on the needles when you have this many stitches at this point in the game. It's almost not worth showing. I can also now, since all the clues are out, tell you that the last circle of this pie shawl, she does some kind of intarsia in the round. And I don't like the way it looks, so I think I'm just gonna knit the last circle in the in a solid in the variegated only. But anyway, Love is Love shawl is being worked on, but very slowly, so I'll just show that one when I finish a round. So that is that. I have a finished object. Now, actually, I finished the sweater for my niece's daughters, and I've already given it to them. And you probably saw a picture of my little niece Ella wearing the Tiny Tea Leaves cardigan if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram. And I am Memer66 on Instagram, Amy Lamash on Facebook, and Amy Lamash on YouTube, by the way. But that is Ella, and that's the Tiny Tea Leaves cardigan. And actually this morning before coming here, I dropped off the antler cardigan for my other niece Cadence, and she loved it. It feels so good. So Ella wasn't with my niece Katie when I gave her the sweater, so I didn't get to see Ella's reaction. But when I got to my niece Patricia's house and Cadence saw the sweater, she hugged it and she's like, I want to put it on, I want to put it on. She put it on right away and she loved the owl buttons, and oh, that made me feel so good. I was really happy I knit the sweaters. And I have, trying to figure it out, I have God knows how many, I have 17 with my kids, so I have 15 nieces and nephews, give or take, and most of them, a lot of them have, more than half of them have kids now, and more than half of them have many kids, so I don't as a rule knit for them because it'd be impossible for me to knit for all of them. But I did it for these 2 girls because they helped me with my Awakening cowl, which is the Fair Isle cowl the pattern I just released. It's a free pattern. Please, if you want to try Fair Isle, you should check out that pattern. And the model is my niece Katie, who is Ella's mom, and Ella's the one with the Tiny Tea Leaves cardigan. And my niece Patricia, she took the pictures, and she is Cadence's mom. So as a thank you, I knit their girls these sweaters. And I already had another one of my niece ask me about knitting hats for her boys. And a part of me is like, I can't start doing this because then everyone else is going to want one, and this was exactly what I was trying to avoid, but it felt really good. I know Angela is my niece's name. I know she would be so appreciative, and that's what feels good when you knit for people, right? It feels so good when you see the happiness, how happy it makes them. That's what it's all about. That's exactly what it's all about. So I'm undecided. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I just don't know. Part of me loved it, but when I was knitting it, I was thinking about all the other things I wanted to be knitting. And I was regretting saying I would knit it for them, but it made my day to see Cadence so happy. So back to the finished objects. Sorry for the blabber. I was going to talk about that in the end, but you heard it now. Oh, someone's actually here walking the dog. I knit the Furrow Hat by Jared Flood from his woolen book that recently came out. And number one, I'm not sure if I like how I look with short hair and hats, because it makes me look like I got no hair or I got like these two things sticking out. When my hair was long, you know, you'd see my curls sticking out and it looked nice. But now I just have that, which I can cover up with my collar, which this will be nice when it's cold. It smells like wool too. Anyway, I love the hat. It's a little loose. It's not tight on my head. It's loose on my head. But I figured it matched the blue, right? You can't see. Can you see how blue it is? So this was made out of Shelter, his worsted weight yarn, and it's quick knit, easy to memorize pattern. I highly recommend it. The charts, everything was perfect. The charts were great. Hit the gauge and the recommended needle size. I usually go up a needle size. I went down to, and it's still a little too big. Sandy went down to a size 2 needle. The pattern recommends a 6. And she left out a repeat, and hers fits nice. And I don't know if it's just this pattern or all of his patterns are like this, but I would say if you knit this hat and probably any of the others in that book, check your gauge. In the round, give it a bath, and then check your gauge, because otherwise I can almost promise you it won't fit. I normally go up a needle size, and I actually knit my gauge in a size 7 needle. Hold on, I'm waiting for the wind to go away. So anyway, I knit my gauge swatch with a 7, a size bigger, and I was like, it was just monstrous compared to the gauge required. And so if you have this book, I highly recommend this pattern. It's a great pattern, but check your gauge, because it was just ridiculous if you ask me. All right, now what? Okay, so I'll put pictures of the girls in their sweaters here, because they promised to send some pictures. I know I already got some of Ella, but Cadence, my niece, said she'll send it tomorrow. All right, so here is my Stash Enhancement, and you can see how that's like a beautiful autumn gold. And then we have some brown, and it's got the silver in it. It's Highland Handmade Yarn Club luxury sock. I wish you could see the colors a little better. Oh, that's totally off. It's not the good. Got too much sun behind me. Come on. Oh, there it is. There it is. It's coming in. But anyway, I'm not really too keen about the brown in here, but I love the gold, and I'm definitely going to use this in a shawl, or maybe I will just use it as socks and see how it feels with the silver. I remember... I think Emily from Fibertown got a skein to test once, and she said it does feel good with the silver in it. I like the way it looks with the silver stripes as opposed to something with stellina, because it looks like it's spun in with the yarn. But it's called Fall In, and it's Highland Handmade Ironwood sock. 92% superwash merino and 8% silver lurex. Love it. I'm really pleased with this whole yarn club with Highland Handmade. It's just really great. And as a little extra, she gave us a 15% off coupon, which I don't think I'm going to use because I'm going to Rhinebeck next week. And I'll talk about it later, but I already spent Rhinebeck money. So, actually I could talk about it now. I'm going to chit-chat for a while, so if you're not interested in my chit-chat, you don't have to go, but I'm going to talk about Rhinebeck a bit. So it is Sunday, so a week from now will be the second day of Rhinebeck, and I will be thinking a lot this week about what I'm going to buy. I've been thinking a lot this year about my knitting goals for the year. I usually tend to start the year off with knitting goals, and this year nothing came out the way I had planned, and I was kind of like, aside from this sweater, not really happy. I felt a lot of obligation knitting and forcing myself to work on things that I wasn't really thrilled about working on. So I was thinking next year, I found that after knitting this sweater that I really liked knitting sweaters, and I want to knit more sweaters. I've knit a few, none with real shaping though. My Starmore sweater, which is like a work of art with the Fair Isle, was very little to the imagination or very little skill with the shaping because it's boxy. Same with, and I have a couple of Icelandic sweaters I made, and I have in the round Fair Isle by the Philosopher wool. And what else have I knit? I don't think I've knit a Marc sweater. But I haven't really put a lot of work into knitting sweaters that have shaping and all that stuff, and I think I'm excited to do more of that. So I had in my stash this Spirit Trail Fiberworks Birte that I bought last year at Rhinebeck for a sweater, and I'm still going to make that sweater, but I knit a swatch with it because I decided, when seeing all the pictures Jen was posting, Jen from Spirit Trail Fiberworks, she was posting, this is terrible with the colors. That's kind of more it. I'm going to turn the camera a little. You won't see the river as much, but you'll get less glare, and I think you'll see the colors better. She was posting some of the colors, new colorways she's bringing to Rhinebeck, and I fell in love with Black Cherry. So I ordered a sweater's worth of this already from her, which she dyed just for me. And I've already paid for it, and I'll pick up at Rhinebeck in Black Cherry. This is my gauge swatch. I wet it. I did everything Amy Herzog says to do. I played with it. I did the finger poke test. And I'm very excited to knit her Mine Hill sweater. It's a tunic length sweater with little pockets. There's no buttons in the front. It's very casual and loose, and it will be lighter than this. Because I'm thinking, like, if it's a warm day in Rhinebeck, I don't have a Rhinebeck, I can't wear this. So I was thinking next year I'll shoot for a lighter sweater, less thick than this. And this is DK, so it will be good. And that will be from Mine Hill. I also have a sweater's worth, like I said, I have this skein and a sweater's worth of Brigantia, which is a Targi, and I think it has a little silk in it. Sorry about the wind. It's brown, and I was going to use this as a contrasting color in the sweater, and I can't show you. Let me see if I can show you. There's a sweater I have in my queue, and I didn't buy the pattern yet, that I think I might make with that. And basically, I will put it in the bottom because I can't remember, and I know I don't have Wi-Fi down here, so I can't look on my iPad. The other sweater that I've been eyeballing, and is also in my queue, which I might buy a sweater's worth of worsted weight for, is this one, which is called Big Sister Sweater. I hope you can see it. Yeah, you can see it pretty good. I love this sweater. I love the tunic length. I love her pockets. I love the little details around the pockets and the sleeves. And I love the size. I love the collar. It's kind of it for me. And that would be a little heavier than the DK weight, so I would have a sweater for Rhinebeck. I'll just have to think about it. And that's what I plan to do this week, is really think about what I want to buy at, I'm trying to get rid of the sun, buy at Rhinebeck, and how much I'll need. I don't need any more sock yarn. I know I will buy it. Resistance is futile. I have to buy sock yarn. I just have to. No, sorry, this way. So, yeah, I might buy another sweater's worth, which is a lot of money to spend, but I don't know if I'd be able to help it. Yeah, so the big sister cardigan is another one I'd like to knit. But before I make the final decision, she has like I'm trying not to show any of her pattern. It's a paperboard pattern. But on the bottom of the pattern, she has like all these pictures of some of her other designs. And I love them all. So I'm gonna, Design von Hinterm Stein. It sounds German, but that's Hinterm, Hinterm Stein is the designer. Her designs look really awesome, so I'm going to check out more of her sweaters. The Mine Hill is an Amy Herzog custom knit pattern, and I did my measurements, and based on my swatch, I calculated the yardage. I'm going to make it very loose, not super loose. It was like the second to the last in ease, and I'm going to make 3/4 length sleeves. And I think what I'm going to do is throw everything to the wayside and just knit whatever the hell I want for the rest of the year, with the exception of my senior love along. It's coming up. I usually start talking about the senior love along after Rhinebeck, but it's in the back of my head that I need to knit some stuff to give away for the senior love along. And I'm trying not to stress about it. I always stress that I'm not going to have enough stuff, and I always have more stuff than I can give away. I still have washcloths left from last year because I gave one to everyone in that nursing home and still had a ton left. I even gave it to some of the volunteers and stuff that worked there. I gave them some washcloths, which they were very excited about. So I'm not going to worry about it this year. And I'll talk more about it next year. So I guess that's enough. I was going to talk about some other things. I guess I'll just mention briefly because I'm going to put a picture in the end. I have a friend, Lena, whom I also work with. She lives very close to me, and we carpool to work a lot, so we're good friends. And she asked me if I would teach her mother and her how to knit. And her sister Carmen came along too, and I sat with them last weekend and today, and been working with teaching them how to knit. And it's the usual stuff. Carmen, her sister, caught on so quick. I was amazing. I was greatly impressed. Lena caught on much better this week. Her mother is very tense, though, and when I got there today, she gave me her knitting that she had been practicing during the week. And I said, like, I started laughing. I said, "Can I take a picture of this?" We were all laughing because it was just a mess. So I did take a picture, but by the time I left today, she was really kind of to get into the groove. So I was really happy about that. I love teaching people how to knit, and her sister Carmen wants to come to our knitting meetup group and knit with us. So I'm super excited about that, and I will teach anybody who wants to know how to knit. And yeah, so that's it. It's one more week till Rhinebeck. I am going to do another podcast next week and talk about Rhinebeck, and I'll probably do it in 2 parts again if necessary. I think I did it in 2 parts one year, if not last year, because there was so much to talk about. So I guess that's it, my friends. I again thank you so much for taking the time to watch my podcast. makes me so happy. You see people running around on the dock over there? It's so cool. Young love. All right. Ciao for now. I'll see you after.